Hey everybody, welcome to week 8 of our remote learning curriculum. We are in this next phase, this next iteration of our remote learning. We are pretty happy with kind of what we've got, and so things are kind of staying pretty consistent. But we continue to look at our survey data and anecdotal data that we get from parents and from students that continue to email us. But also kind of like the data that we collect from PowerSchool on work completion, live session attendance, and other information that we gather. As we'll see in here is we are kind of hoping to kind of increase our outreach a little bit. So you may hear from us. One of the data points that we're trying to learn about is our live sessions, those who have no connections, meaning that that they haven't engaged at all in the week, and those who are just kind of like doing some minimal things. So if you're a student who is maybe just kind of hasn't been entering in much, or has maybe submitted all the assignments, but it's been kind of just said something that's unrelated and hasn't really put in the necessary kind of work to kind of complete the assignment. We're going to try to follow up as much as we can. So families and students, you may hear from counselors if there hasn't been any engagement at all, meaning like you haven't engaged in any activities. Oftentimes there's some kind of big reason why, and so that's why we have our counselors that have kind of made those connections so that they can understand what's going on. We also kind of our Zooms, that's kind of like our attendance right now, kind of the live Zooms. We are hoping to kind of get that percentage up a little bit. So we're going to have some office staff. So you may hear from Dee or Michelle from the office, also Ashley Babka reaching out just to kind of see what's going on as far as the missed Zoom or live session. And then also kind of we'll have our support professionals or paraprofessionals reaching out for those who have kind of some kind of minimal connections or minimal kind of work that they're doing. So we're excited about that. This week or earlier this week, there was an email from the Holliston Public Schools from Dr. Patello with kind of an addendum to the remote learning, some additions that we've made, just to kind of highlight some of the major ones at the middle school. Is prior to the prior weeks is we've had one live session and then 2 office hours. What we've shifted to is one live, one recorded session, and then one extra help. It's the same thing as office hours, but I think that's just a terminology that our students are more comfortable with, and we're hoping to kind of have some increased attendance at that. Additionally, our unified arts teachers are also doing one live, one recorded, and extra help. And also you're going to see some additional kind of like workouts of the day and week and some more active involvement there as well. And these Zooms, they're important to us. It's a way for us to kind of make sure everything's all right and connect with each other. We are hoping to kind of evolve as much as we can over the next several weeks, whether that's how we look at live sessions differently and what that might be, but are hoping to kind of improve the quality of work as we've kind of received some guidance from the Commissioner of Education in the state of Massachusetts. We are hoping to kind of close some kind of achievement and make sure that we know how we're going to start the year next year. So we have created these kind of curriculum scope and sequences for every class on what we're hoping to kind of complete between now and the end of the year, so we know where we're going to start the year next year. So we are hoping students can kind of engage in those things. Mrs. Beattie, did you want to comment a little bit about some of the work habits and some of those things?
Yeah, I think to kind of jump off of what you're saying, the remote learning is where we're at from now until the end of the school year. And so we want to applaud our teachers who have put together an incredible document and are working really, really hard to keep students engaged. And we also want to applaud our students for those that are, actively attending all the Zooms and getting their work done and doing a really great job. And we just want to talk to the students a little bit about how important it really is to stay invested in their learning from now until June in this really challenging way, because it's only going to benefit them and us when we, return, however that is, in the fall. So making sure that you're attending all Zooms and you're going back and watching the recorded lessons is really important to help you manage your work for the week. Making sure that you're completing and focusing at least on the essential tasks that are in the Rainbow Doc, and then if there is time, you can go back and do the desserts for some more enrichment. And taking advantage of those extra help sessions. So if you're unsure of something you watched in a recorded video, or you're unsure of what the teacher might be asking you to do in a task, that's your time to go into those extra help sessions, whether they're emails or live sessions, and ask those questions. We've also been talking with your teachers, and they're hoping to make learning a little more fun in this environment. Feel free to put together your own little study groups through Zoom. Or through FaceTime on your phones, and work on the tasks together. That might make it feel a little more manageable and a little less stressful for you if you're creating these little study groups together and you're kind of making your way through the work together. And we're also going to add, as an additional resource for kids, a how-to on building a Google Calendar for yourself. And this is a really great skill to build off of in terms of organizing yourself. So you could put your Zooms in there, you can put tasks, daily to-do tasks in that calendar, and it just helps you feel a little more organized, and that you can accomplish things and not feel so overwhelmed. So we're going to link that information in the resource part of the document we send out. But just really using this as an opportunity to continue like you would in an everyday school on your work habits, staying organized and doing your best to get your work done.
And we've done some preliminary thoughts and planning around what next year might look like in a worst case scenario. So, it is what we think is an essential skill right now for students to learn kind of executive functioning in a remote learning environment, and using a Google Calendar and how you can link up your Google Classroom to your calendar, so you have everything at your availability and at your fingertips there. I think it's an important skill for our students to learn it right now. I also think it's as much as we've lived in a world where we've had our paper-based agendas, our students more and more things are being pushed to their calendars, and adults in the workforce are working with calendars and Zooms that are in live sessions that are pushed directly to calendars. So I do think it's especially in the future and actually in our present, I think it's essential to learn that skill. So if you are kind of not using that, I do highly encourage you to work with your student or your students to kind of seek out Ms. Cordes or Mr. Cotter or a teacher just to kind of help you set that up. But we'll have some directions attached to here.
Yep.
Some quick announcements that we have. May 11th, I believe, is when all of the checks will be going out for Nature's Classroom and the BSO trips for refunds. So you should be receiving those in the mail sometime next week, something along those lines, whatever that process looks like. But those refunds should be going out to those families. We're also hoping to hold a art and band pickup day, which is actually going to be Thursday of next week. It's shaping out, but anticipate an email early next week where Mr. Grinna and Mrs. Hebert will, those who have reached out to them, they're going to label one instruments and also some art supplies for those who have been identified that they can come to do some curbside pickup. Again, you have to have reached out to those individuals to pick up some free art supplies, but also to kind of pick up your instrument if you had left it inside the building. The other thing is we are hoping to do a locker clean out, likely sometime after May 18th. We're anticipating some additional guidance coming out from the governor around kind of some back to work a little bit, so we might be able to kind of be better equipped to do that. But again, this is likely to be a curbside locker clean out. And what that is our teachers, some of our teachers, a handful of our teachers are going to come in to the building, do the locker clean out into a paper bag, label it, collect back if there was like a library book or a textbook that's in the locker, collect those items. And then those personal items will be labeled and they'll be in alphabetical order for kind of a curbside pickup of all locker materials at them. Because again, we're trying to create a safe environment, not really have a large number of people inside of the building, but be able to do kind of that curbside pickup as much as possible. Lastly, of what I have is we are trying to do some more for our 8th graders. I know it's devastating for many of our seniors to that extent, and I imagine it's going to be tough for our 8th graders too, leaving a building they've been in for the last 3 years. So we're going to come up with some additional things that we're going to do, some type of send-off that we put together, some historical things and kind of more of a remote learning environment that we'll try. But we do believe our 8th graders deserve some type of send-off and partying and appreciation for everything they've done here at the middle school.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
Mrs. Beattie, do you have anything else additional to add?
Just one more thing. Our students who work on our Rams Page newspaper are writing an article on what it is like for students to be in this remote world. So they have put together a survey that is at the top of every grade level Rainbow Doc. So students, if you have, 5 minutes just to fill that out for your peers to put together that article, they would really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That is it.
Well, we appreciate you spending this time with us this last week and today. And again, any questions that you have, anything that you're struggling with, we are trying hard to really survey, get a really good, accurate data, so we have evidence to kind of inform any decisions that we're making. So please stay in touch. Please reach out. Let your counselors know, your teachers know anything that you're struggling with or things that are successful or a challenge. Keep us informed. But otherwise, enjoy the rest of the weekend and have a good one.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.